Hey guys, welcome to this video. Today we're going to discuss the preservation of inequality, a fundamental theorem in calculus that helps us compare the areas under the curve of different functions. What is the preservation of inequality? The theorem states that if f of x is less than or equal to g of x for all x in some interval ab, then the integral of f of x over ab is less than or equal to the integral of g of x over ab. In other words, if we have two functions, f of x and g of x, defined over the same interval, and f of x is always less than or equal to g of x over that interval, then the area under the curve of f of x from a to b will always be less than or equal to the area under the curve of g of x from a to b. To see why this is true, we can use the definition of the integral. The integral of a function f of x over an interval ab can be defined as the limit of the sum of the areas of rectangles whose heights are f of x evaluated at some point in each subinterval, and whose widths are the widths of the subintervals, as the number of rectangles approaches infinity. Using this definition, we can see that the integral of f of x over ab is the limit of a sum of areas of rectangles whose heights are all less than or equal to the corresponding heights of the rectangles used to compute the integral of g of x over ab. Therefore, the integral of f of x over ab is less than or equal to the integral of g of x over ab. Now, say we have f of x equals x cubed and g of x equals x squared over the interval 0, 1. In this case, f of x is always less than or equal to g of x over the interval 0, 1, and the area under the curve of g of x from 0 to 1 is larger than the area under the curve of f of x from 0 to 1. To illustrate this concept, let's consider an example from economics. Suppose you have two companies, Company A and Company B, and you want to compare their profits over a certain time period. You have functions f of x and g of x that represent their profits at any given time, respectively, and you want to know which company had the higher profits over that entire period. If f of x is less than or equal to g of x for all x in that period, we can conclude that Company B had higher profits than Company A over that period. However, let's say we want to know how much more profitable Company B was than Company A over that period. We can use the preservation of inequality to find out. Specifically, we can integrate the difference between g of x and f of x over the interval ab to find the difference in their total profits over that period. To use the preservation of inequality, it's important to make sure you're comparing integrals over the same interval. Remember that the theorem only works if one function is always less than or equal to the other in that interval. Also, keep in mind that the theorem is often used to prove other theorems in calculus, so understanding it is crucial for further study of the subject. In summary, the preservation of inequality is a powerful theorem that allows us to compare the areas under the curve of different functions. By comparing the integrals of two functions over the same interval, we can determine which function has a larger area under its curve. All in all, we hope this video has helped you understand this important concept in calculus. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.